Hi, Clif. This is Richard. I'm taking a look at line patterns in GitHub. Now, I took a tiny piece. I'm looking at one MIT GCM folder, which has, I don't know, 500,000 lines in it altogether. I don't know how many files that is right offhand. And I first go in and I do a recursive listing of the file records in that folder. And then I set up to only look at certain ones of them. I actually keep track of which extension goes with each pattern. So I just read the files. Let's see. So if they're included in here, I read the file. If it's empty, I just skip it. I split the lines out, and then I go through the lines, and I take each line and convert it into a pattern. Now the pattern is fairly simple. If it's I should have returned on that. If it's empty, I'll go change that in a minute. Basically, I change all the alphabetic characters to an A. Any sequence of alphabetic characters becomes an A. Any sequence of numbers becomes an N. All the blanks, like multiple sequences of blanks, become single. And then anything else, anything that's not an A, an N in that pattern, or a blank, gets converted to a P. And then because there's so many of them, just taking any line here, and it could be a comment line, it can be a data line, it could be anything. I'm just looking at the, I'm facing a folder with a bunch of files, and the files have lines. Presumably, right now I'm just looking at text, mostly text things. And so I do that. I take each of the line patterns and split them. I stuck the extension in there for counting purposes, so I take it out. I take the pattern there and split it into a list of terms. I go through each of the terms, and then I count them according to how many there were in that one. So if there's a space in, like a alphabetic sequence with a space and then an N following it, the A would get counted in times, and then the N would get counted in times. All right, so I kind of doubled up on the use of there. Then I dump it into a TSV, the count, and I save it. Now the file that this one produced looks like this, and I've sorted it already, descending by count. So a line with a single alphabetic sequence. So just A through uppercase A through N, lowercase A through N, some combination of there. That's the most frequent one. And then punctuation. Could be spaces. I'm going to go in and trim and skip that one, but it doesn't really matter. The main thing I'm looking at, what is the variety of things that occur in the things. So here's an alphabetic with the punctuation, another alphabetic. That could be A equals A. Well, I don't know what it might be. Alphabetic, punctuation, alphabetic, punctuation, punctuation, alphabetic, punctuation, alphabetic, punctuation, alphabetic, punctuation, alphabetic. Okay, that kind of thing. Numeric with punctuation. Numeric just standing alone. If you get a part of a line there, I'm not dealing with continuations. I'm not dealing with comments. I'm not dealing with, whole bunch of things in here. Lines with comments on them. That I can split out. Right now it's just the type of analysis, the accounting and organizing of patterns. It's all I'm looking at. I'm not trying to force them in any direction. What I do know is that if I decide on a filter like this and I come up with some kind of a categorization of the line, then there's a big chunk in here. Let's go through here and insert this. If I look at the count of these, there are 100. There's about that many. There are almost 2 million cases in there of that. Now, each of those, like a pure numeric, occurs only 23,000 times in there. In context, there's a lot of times there's an alphabetic and a numeric and alphabet. So there are all these other combinations. So in terms of the workload in parsing whatever comes next, I can at least get a sense of it there. So there, this is 42% of the work. Let's see. And $75% of the work is handled just with these 4 categories. And, if I just go down, 20 categories there. Now, can you break this up further? Probably. I mean, there's some things like, if I do it's just what humans do. They say, look, we put in a code to tell you that this is a comment. That's, we know that these long, complicated sentences relate to the coding, but they're just stuck in there. And so we're actually pre-marking the lines in these files to say, kind of ignore these. These are long, windy, complicated things that you can't really stick in here that well. Okay, so this sort of helps. Okay, all right, let's just see. All right, so this one, in terms of terms, I think what I'm seeing in here is that these are, this is APA, PA, PAP, basically an ANP in there is probably, like 2 character and 3 character combinations. Generally, they're 3 and 4. So these things actually end up being repeated sequences of some common patterns. And you do that. You do it recursively. And the problem is what you're faced with is this many variations. So your code has to include all of these patterns in there. You might not see them that well. Maybe you do count them, I don't know. But this is an easy way to say what you're facing. And look at this. How many of these are there? There's going to be, these are all the singlets, which are probably words and comments, but, okay, let's go back down. Okay, so sorry, there's not an easy way to do that. 1,873 singlets. So those are probably comments, but I don't, I can't be sure right from here. I mean, I'll just go change the code a few lines and stick that in some way. Okay, now these are a little more. Basically, what I did was I broke it out by language. So the extension, I stuck it in the counter with a tab after it next to the pattern, and then that way I can stack as many columns of data in here as I want just by that little trick, and then I just count them. And so there's not that many. Let's take a look at this there. So Fortran, there was a lot of, this gets biased because there's a lot of Fortran in there, and there's a bunch of empty lines in there. And then there's, a Fortran with a single alphabetic on it. And that might be like, I don't know, if there was a that might be a C, for instance. Okay, like if it's just a comment, line with blank comment line, that's probably what, or here's a comment with a word. So a lot of these are probably comments in there. I did the H at the same time, the blank, a Fortran with a punctuation followed by there, and that I don't know. All I know is that there were 60,000 some odd of all these patterns and a huge number of singlets in there. And so, a human facing this, or a coder for the first time, they see this welter of stuff and say, my God, I can't write a parser for that many, situations. And, enough that, there's only going to be, I gave up on it. Okay, so it's 40,000 singlets in there. So, okay, well, look, it's going to break down, and I'm going to have my usual, percentage up here and there. So what do? You go in there and you say, look, I'll distinguish the comment lines, and then I've taken care of that many cases. So these are probably those, and, then what do? You go in and you say, well, the line pattern is comment, so you're tagging all those things. And every one of those, how many different variations have you had to go through? You say, well, look, I want to do a data statement with a bracket and comma separation. So, okay, well, that becomes one of these god-awful long, one of these guys, where it repeats and repeats and repeats. I'm not pointing to the correct one. I'm just indicating it there. So, but this particular top-down look at the entire, set of things has the potential to, help do this. Now, you and I don't want to face, a blizzard like that every single time. So we're going to go in there, we're going to take the top 10 categories, we're going to get those coded, and then we'll deal with the exceptions and all. And many of those singlets are going to be in those comment, probably going to fall in the comments. And, then this thing gets down and you say, I have, 20 tokens, types of statements. I have 50 tokens, types of statements, things like that. So this, mostly I'm making some large presumptions here. If I have a line like this is A space P space A P. That's actually a P there. That pair A P. You get what's happening. So it's really not very fine grained, but I can clearly distinguish between that line and that line on the basis of length and patterning. So, and these guys here, this would be, I trim so that I don't use the beginning and ending, so that would just be AP. Okay, A space A. I guess I use the space on all these. Space P space P. That's one P. Now, can you do better than that? By far. But if I'm just trying to get a sense of, how things, how much programming effort is required, basically we're still doing the cases. Even if you write a recursive one to handle, look, this is going to repeat, I'll write a recursion, blah, 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 you code it, and then you do it. let's see if I can give you a sense of, let's just look at like Fortran. Let's see if I can do, okay, let me do that. I'm going to stick in save that. Let's refresh this. And oh, finally. Okay. What I did, I left my extension line there, and then I just stuck in one with just the F in here. And I'm going to stick with that guy. And then I just wanted to show you what kinds of things occur. So this is going through the line, and there's the pattern. So let's just stop here and find the pattern. Okay, so here the first pattern is that one. The line is that. Okay, so okay. Does it condense the space of things to look at? It doesn't really matter where. I'm thinking of machine, more or less unsupervised machine processes, where the machine can run for 48 hours. I don't care. It's inefficient, but I'll just say just keep going until you get it done. And I can say, try some line patterns. Look for something. Look for things that repeat and see if you can't do it. Even a long line with a single count is a repeat. So, all those singlets, you could say, look, can I deal with the singlets? And that's the way I do it as a human. I presume an algorithm could do the same thing. So, anyway, there are cases in here, where there now variable names in C can include an underscore, so I could just change that and say, look, find all of the the variable names, or the pound include can go into a list, and also, and you've done that. I mean, that's the standard way we do programming. You say, look, I see words, I'll look for those specific words, or I see some specific patterns. So, like this one is a file name, right? Okay, we say that's a string, quoted string, which happens to be with an extension like that. It's very likely a file name. And I could go look and see, is there one out there? And if there is a file name like that, then I say, yeah, that's probably what they're doing. And since it's an include, I have to go back, all the years in using these kinds of things and say, yeah, that's what they're doing. So now can an unsupervised program do that? Maybe, where did they store, if you see this, do that? I mean, humans get told that. If you listen in our lectures, you're sitting there, okay, computer science 101, here's a for loop, here's an include statement, and you memorize all those stupid things. They just say, if you see a pound include, this is what it means, and then you read the page, you see the pound include, then you go memorize all the steps that you learn by rote, and you do it. And if you practice and wrote a bunch of them in the code, then you have that muscle memory to guide you to things that you've done before, and then you just string them off. And like me, like I do, this for loop, I don't even think of it. I just start typing and I put in the things, and I can crank out this in about 5 minutes, and it works every time because I've memorized all the parts. I make substitutions of the particular names I'm using. I try to be, I try to make things I can see and remember, so a human can process this and generate these stupid lines. But that's what we do. We just memorize chunks of things with, and why am I saying, patterns is I'm just shoving things in there. I've got a line, I've got lines that look like this. Well, okay, on here I know that if I'm going to be serious about dealing with the Fortran and there. Now, let's suppose that I got this is an F file, a Fortran file. Suppose I got smart enough on this, and I said, look, I'll strip the blank lines, I'll split the comments, and I'll only send you everything else. So the includes get there because they're part of your library lookup, but all these other ones, you would see integer, character, integer, and so forth. So you could pre-process these things and just say, strip comments and blanks, and that can include all the the line like this. You can strip those comments out as well. Now, if it's a compiled program, those things follow the rules of that language, and you could fairly hope that if this is a published program, then it's going to have all of those already pre-checked. It's not going to crash and give you something wrong. These continuations are ugly, but that's the way they did it, and and it's old Fortran thing. So I guess I forgot that it is in the first column. These are the continuations. Okay, now this crap, sorry, they're shoving stuff in there, so they're doing a metacoding to allow, they basically put their scripting right inside the language. So that's basically, what is that? That's basically a double language. You have two sets of language in there. So all this stuff. I'm just kind of talking about it in case somebody else wants to listen sometime. So I can crank these kinds of things out. I do them, 12 to 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't program every day, but I try to spend a few hours doing some simple things. And, I'm trying to see, GitHub. At 119 million entry points there. Okay. And those things, let's just take a new one here. Okay. They're all over the place. So here's somebody doing something, right? And so, they got all these folders and everything else. Let's see if we can get a sense of it. Let's just open this. And so this is I think it's a compiled program. Okay, Mattermost server. I just use the default, so I don't want to and I stick them all in there in that thing. Now, it says it just got it. It's still running. They don't ever say how many they have. There's no how many files, how long it'll last. They don't actually distinguish, are any of these useless or not. So let's see, show and explore. I don't know if this is still, let's see, refresh. I guess that's it, or is this starter scripts? So it's got some Python. I thought there was more to it, right? Wasn't there? Let's see. I'll move that out of the way. If I did this right, there should be all these other ones. So it's still doing it. Let's see. Oh, okay. Let's see. Where is that's this on? Huh? Maybe they I don't know how their process goes. I wish they would tell me what they're doing. Okay, so so where is this guy? So it 2 minutes. It says 2 minutes ago. Oh, it's not on the right one. Okay, stupid thing. Okay, so where do they even have this one? Oh, they don't. They didn't even stick it in there yet. So they leave me looking at something else there, and I can hear it in the background. It's trying to read those. So this is so inefficient, of my space. Look at all the white space. I don't have that many lines on my screen. Don't make me look at all this stuff here. I try to pick things that are of interest to me. I try to pick things that are larger to see, how in the world can they, manage that? They get thousands of people in there. All right, so, okay, let's look at this. Issues, pull requests, watch, star. Okay, starred by that many people is 4,000 forks on here, 493 contributors. So whatever this is, Mattermost server, presumably it's enough of a group. But 493 people is nothing, with billions of people using the internet. So yeah, it looks like, we got 400 people working on this, and but they're all going in and have it memorize and do the stuff themselves. So we'll see. Maybe, let's see, model, fixing race conditions, go long, build image. Maybe it's a game. I don't know what this is. Contributing file, audit logs. Oh, private cloud, Slack alternative, open source private cloud. Okay, so they built a web host, a server, internet server, and people can join contributor demo server. Okay, Heroku must be there. I guess that copies to some site. Okay, maybe that's what's going on. Auto deploy, Amazon Web. Okay, so these are certain kinds of things. Developer machine. This is at least reasonably well laid out for the kinds of environments, but I might want to, there's nothing, it only runs on these big guys, I guess. And you have to pay them, so, they're okay, so. Webhooks / commands driver. Okay, memorize. God awful memorization. So 700 Mattermost integrations. All right, Twitter you can't share. You really can't. Blog, email. So this is all humans chattering with humans, or not. There's no. I don't know. I'm cynical today. All right. Who's using Mattermost? Can't anyone come up with anything new? This is the same old blah 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 stuff that everyone does. Create award-winning animated films. Financial. So they're doing paper magazine layouts, just like everybody from the 1400. When was the printing press invented? Alright, so I'm still waiting for that to finish. Let's see if they've... Alright, so we got some stuff here. Alright, it's slowing down. It's not making as many noises. What I want to do is get a sense of how big this is. They should publish this on GitHub, but they don't. Oh, okay, I guess it's done. Okay, so there's a bunch of things with the same name. Looks like 5,000 items in there. Okay. How am I doing on time? Yeah, 5,000 items. A lot of them, they just shove things in files. There are a bunch of Go files. Okay. Alright, I'm just curious. Let's just take a look at I just want to do a quick scan of 5,000 items and see what's in there. Oh, what's the, how big am I? Properties. Less than a gigabyte, so it's not that big. Okay, so cancel. Alright, so I got that. Oh, I need this name. Let's go back. Is there, no, it can't, it doesn't remember recent places. Oh, it's, this thing is stupid. Okay, demodified. No. Alright. GitHub. Where is the matter? This one. Control C. The folder is going to be that, and I'm just going to leave. Just going to turn it off. I'm not going to exclude anything, or I'm going to take everything. Okay. So, and the, yeah. Okay. So whatever extensions, I'll just check every extension and count, and see, and then. Okay, I think that's all I need to do to run this one. So let's refresh this. So let's do that one. It should get, let's stop it here and see how many get the line patterns. It took that long to read the directory, and okay, that's not the same as what I just saw. There are 5,000. So let's see what the YML, blah, 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 Galangi dependence. I should count the extensions. I usually, actually I have a routine that does that automatically. Let's see. Oh, okay, let's just go through the line patterns, and it'll put the folder name in here. So, and so here's a YML and a pattern AP, alphabetic with a punctuation. It's reading 4,000 files, 4,000 gigabyte. I'm not doing any really big stuff. I am reading every line and kind of chopping it around a little bit, so I have to do a fair amount. I'm waiting for it. It should come back here and then stop and ask me for where I want the name to go. Oh, it's just getting a file, and let's go out of there. And 3,300 out of 4. Okay, so I just got to keep I got to be patient. Just keep going. So it's done about 3. It's done most of them. Here we go. For F, that for all files in Mattermost server. Okay, and let's take a look and see what it got. Okay, so okay, so there's some long lines in there. Let's do Control-Z, get that. Just take a look at this. These are the patterns, so these are counting space-separated chunks in there, and so there's a bunch in there where you just have an alphabetic, or you have a punctuation, or an alphabetic and a punctuation, or a number, alphabetic, number, punctuation, and so on, number there. So the usual suspects, in terms of things that are showing up in there, and there are 12,000 patterns of lines in those things, and okay, so YML, I can cheat a little bit. I can count here. So, and these are the counts for that pattern. So, all right, let's just do this one next. Put it over there one more. Bring it up full size. So I take the pattern, no, the extension, and then the count, and it's counting count. Let's see, some. So these are the extensions that are out in there, and there's some kind of crap in the. I don't know why it did. Column width is 20. Let's just try that. Okay. I don't know why it was doing that. And then there. Oh, this stupid app. Alright. Column width. 20. Alright, so. Alright, so Go, there's a bunch of Go lines in there, C, JSON, so that this gives me a rough idea. But look at, oh, and there's some kind of crappy thing that got thrown in there. I don't know why. There's probably a blank or something. I don't know what. There must, something didn't get categorized in there, so that's, it won't. It won't let me do it. Okay, well, I'll fiddle with that one. So, okay, so there's some images, some zips. It's the usual, storeroom. Whatever. A bunch of stuff shoved in the corner, and nobody knows who put it there, why it's there. Oh, that's my language. I'll stick that in here. Here's some. There. Some SQL, a bunch of SQL. So they're all their favorite languages and things. I like Cracker Jacks. I want some, hummus. Let's have some proto today. We need more branch. Oh, T-tar is the best. Yeah, JSON. We got to do everything in JSON, right? Okay, well, let's see. This plus G2 plus I'm just. I'm tired. I can't make. I wanted to do a percentage on here, and I can't. But you can by eyeball. You can know that this is going to take up most of it, and that's the entirety of it. Okay, I mean this is not more. This is how many is this? This is a total of 1.7 million with 62 items in there. So. What do? Well, we go in and say, look, I'll write a Go routine, I'll write a C routine, I'll write a JSON parser, I'll write an MD parser, I'll write a dollar, whatever that is, So we write, a specialized thing. Oh, ASM, I'll go in there. But I think you can just take it the way I'm doing it and just say, a line is a line. And, if I'm trying to get all the languages there anyhow, and it says, look, this is stupid. We got assignment statements in C. We got assignment statements in Go. We have read statements implicitly. We have read statements and functions inside JSON, or we ought to. I mean, it's not. It's a specification of things, and the structures in there are getting written in Go and C and JSON and JavaScript and H, and even HTML has a lot of that stuff. I mean, you say HTML, well, it's got a shitload of JavaScript inside of it. So I think somebody needs to do this. That's why I've been doing it. I said, look, everybody else is doing their own little thing, and I want to look at the whole of it and see if I can't find some way to simplify it. Look, if you're going to do this, that's a two-field line. Pre-separate the doggone thing, And, does that really mean it? Let's look at this alphabetically. Okay, so here are the kinds of things that people are doing out there. Let's bring this up. Okay. And they're basically, they have to go now like this to get anything said, right? At least in there. But it looks to me like there's a lot of repetitions of, things in there that a lot of these are just, say, look, I got an ANA and ANAP. Well, I think that's what that is. AN. And then it's AP, so that calls out, hey, that this probably, there, and, here are these long strings of APs. And I could collapse that down and say, string of AP is S or something like that. Or, I could say replace all the APs or ANPs. I mean, do something. Cut it down, and then you say, okay, you're an AP parser, deal with it, and if just sort it into the best categories you can get, and then assign it to somebody. And how do you assign it? Well, you come in and you say, look, okay, well, I keep going by it here, oh, okay, there's 10,000 of those out of here. That's a chunk. Go do that one, and it looks like, those are the variations on that, so somebody came up and says, I like this pattern. Let's try to do that a bunch. And then, so what do they get? They got all these variations. And it's English language. You can add and add and add and add and add as much as you want. So that, anyway, let's see what else is down here. So... Okay, so this is a stronger one. Punctuation, alphabetic punctuation. Okay, so there's a passel of those out there, and there are more of those than there, and then another alphabetic afterwards. So I think we could do it. What were these at the top? Yeah, okay. Let's see. some really simple ones, but you can't, when it's different. If you go out and grab a stone from the quarry and start chopping it, that's different than taking a bunch of bricks and sticking them together with mortar, or taking clay and blobbing it up. So it's a different style of dealing with things. I want to take existing things and analyze them, break them up into parts, and figure out, okay, let's color that one green, let's color this one blue, and let's assign 50,000 people to get the A's in order. They're misspelled. A lot of these things could be people forgetting. I don't know. All right, so whatever that thing was, let's take a look at that thing. It was M something all right, all this stuff, blah 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 blah. I don't know, what is YML? Dependency, notice, license. Okay, what I didn't do, I grabbed everything, but I could say, well, look, I know that people segregate and they don't. Well, they might. Okay, like your license might contain data fields, right? Go summary, go mod. I don't even know what the Go language looks like. Start. Aren't there a bunch in here? Okay, tables that go. Okay, let's see what the Go language looks like. Okay. Oh, brother. Simplified Chinese. Okay, so that's probably where a bunch of these codes here, that's going to be a numeric, alphabetic, and then the hex. Okay, so probably, if I did a bunch of these, then I would want to know, okay, if you see one of those, that piece gets classified as a hex code, right? And maybe that's probably the fundamental way to do this thing. So here, this says, if you're going to read this, you have to be able to recognize a hex code. Okay, so let's see, what does this one look like? In here, structure, I don't want to go down that far. I want to take, that is something, a dotted thing. So a sequence of alphabetic characters may be underscores with dots between. That's, so we could find all of those and see, there. This guy didn't do any, I don't see any strings. There's a pointer. Okay. So we could, you do it like, if you take any language, you're going to have to go find the base parts of what they did. So that, but that, there's that's okay. So it's a standard. I'm faced with some random stuff. I'm looking at a scene on the beach, and there's people walking by, and there's clouds up there, and here's a porpoise. I think I see some fog drifting by from the beach. There's some sand. There's somebody dropped trash there. Something like that. So these guys stuck, they did the human thing. They memorized the stuff and wrote it down neatly and carefully. They're conscientious humans, but they aren't robots. Okay, and so do not edit. Don't change a single thing, or it won't work. Okay. All right. Well, I'll just. I guess I'll stop here. Some of these, like here, that's really tiny. Gutenberg. Oh, this one, Live USB. These are device drivers for all the USB devices, and they're written in C, and some of them get fairly long. They use a lot of libraries and things, so it took a huge amount of human effort to assemble this pile of rocks. Okay, and there were many of them, and all of them, a lot of them had to be hammered into shape. So in terms of building human pyramid thingies, it wasn't a bad effort, but it's nearly impossible to read, unless you spent days and years memorizing all this stuff. I mean, you get good at it. Anybody can get good at this if they have a decent memory. And, and sometimes you're only born to do it, so I don't know. But these, you keep saying, just quit and start from scratch. But, where do you get your material from? You say, well, look, we'll just go out and buy, just go buy this device driver library, or buy this package, use Visual Studio, or this, do it in Fortran, or go download the latest version of Python, which has to go into the latest version of Linux, which has to go on the latest machine which can handle it, which has to have these devices connect to it, because if you don't, you're going to eat it, trying to run anything. So the dependencies are horrific. So, all right, well, I can read a lot of this stuff. You can. Everybody who does this all the time. But this has 13,000 files in it. Okay. Let's see. How am I doing on? Let's see. GitHub. This has 660,000 files in there, in 93,000 folders. So that's only like a dozen files per folder or something like that. I mean, it's not, or less. It's, a few files per folder, and they, you have to know the pathway down to it and how the dependencies. It's an absolute mess. It's a it's an abomination. Okay, all right. Well, I'm getting tired, I can tell. All right, so I'd love to be able to use some of these things. This one is AirSpy. They do. They have a software-defined radio. They don't let you control the gain. They don't let you see what's happening in the hardware. They think we're doing the best in the world. And won't work with anybody. So maybe they just won't work with me. I complain too much. I say, you need to do a better job. And they say, oh my, you're hurting my feelings. All right, Arduino, Astro. I'd like to get some of the astrophysics stuff. That's what I was doing here. And oh, this is written in Coffee. What in the world is Coffee? This looks like Node.js. They use classes, JavaScript. So it's a dialect of JavaScript. It looks like a made-up scripting language. And so, all right. So Electron is that thing that has, it's supposed to be a headless browser that they stuck some kind of display control on, so you can do your own layouts. And it's kind of like they took an old Chevy and pulled the engine out and stuck wooden bumpers on it, and then some they hacked an old thing that was nearly impossible to change. How many is this? Oh, that's okay, 3,800 files, but are some of these? That's not right. I don't think that can be right. I think that's where it goes if you do it. I think it's one of those, you say, well, download this, and then download 7,000 dependencies. FTSE evaluation, FFT. I'd like to use these things. I can't afford to pay $6,000 for Mathematica or $10,000 for MATLAB or LabVIEW or all these different things. Everything they say, oh, well, you're a corporation, you can afford to pay anything. I said, no, I'm trying to learn this stuff. And all right, let me just stop here.